Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Teresa, we said we were going to talk a little bit today about parent-child relationships. You know, that's always a touchy subject when you get into being a parent, because as I think back, you know, of course, it's like they say, there's no manual for how to successfully parent. And it comes with a lot of challenges. And,
all I can say is, thank goodness for therapy. Because there's no manual, there's no one telling you. Yeah. Like, I don't know how many times when Nia was growing up, I said, Mama didn't tell me it was going to be like this.
I know, right?
you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then there's no manual, although if you're blessed, you have people around you that sort of talk to you and a role model for you. But of course, even with that, you have to assess, you know, what works for your situation, because what might have worked for my mom may not be applicable for me. And my child and, you know, our situation as a family. So it's a lot to take in. But with all of that, with that responsibility, you know, I don't know about you, but you sort of feel judged as well as a parent. You know, there is a heavy weight on us as parents, because it's like, okay, have you, through your efforts, contributed a child that's going to be a benefit to society, or will this child be in the other column, you know, that makes things more challenging for us as a community? Do you feel that weight also as a mom?
Well, you know, it's funny you say that. I absolutely.
I think we all do.
Because here's my situation, you know, like, I don't know what is normal when it comes to children, right?
Yeah.
And all I can tell you is that I have two that are very different from anyone else's.
Yeah.
Any of my other friends' children, right? So, and when I think about it and I make that statement, everybody is different. None of the people in my circle, any of their children they're not the same.
Of
but
course.
somehow it seems with my two, there are often probing questions, and then they, you know, and it's like, you know, but they have different personalities.
But you know what,
my children,
Teresa? And I think all of us feel like that, though. I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
I think. Remember, you and I have talked about that. I think all of us as parents.
Hold on a second. Can I stop you 1 second? Mm-hmm. So you say all of us, and we have talked about it. That we've talked about it because it seems our children are different. Mm-hmm. Yours is different and mine is different.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked about it in that context.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends whose children are like ours, like yours or like mine. So
well,
I
then
don't know
that just proves the point. Then you and I did a pretty poor job in this because we've ended up at the same place. You know, I tell you, I have a friend that she and I, you know, you have those friends as your kids are growing up and you're in the same place. Well, her kids were Evan's age, so, we met at the babysitter, and because our kids were at the same, place, then she and I, being young women, we connected, and she has become one of my best friends. And when we were in the thick of parenting, going through, the little, when they were younger and the teenage years and all of that, she and I laughed to this day and said, we should have had better friends, in terms of I should have had someone different from her and she should have had someone different from me, because
Why?
we screwed up all of our kids, and we laugh about we keep saying, well, because she and I both parented from the standpoint of a lot of grace with our kids. Some people might interpret that as being lenient, but when I would get upset about something with even, and may have been furious about it, I would call Carol and she would help me process, but it always ended up with, well, Lou, understand that he may be going through this, or, you have to consider. And it's the same thing when
No,
she would go through things.
I think that's exactly where you process that. I don't know.
Teresa, but the proof is in the pudding, okay? When you look back years later, you think, I don't know if we should have been parenting together like we were.
Hold on a second. You making it sound like you had a
No,
juvenile delinquent
no,
in jail, and it's quite the opposite
no,
of
no,
that.
no. I'm quite proud of my son, very
Oh yeah,
thankful. But
yeah.
I'm just saying, parenting is hard, and
Oh
it's just
yeah,
but it's such an important job, and you want to
yeah,
do well. Like I said, you feel the weight of it because you're concerned about what you're sort of turning out into society, but also you're also aware of what you're doing that might impact the dynamics of your own family. So I tell the story in my family that I was always so careful, because when I would watch those, crime shows, and the teenagers go bad and get into all of this stuff, and they stuff somebody in the trunk, it's usually the parent or the mom, the ones that I watch. And so I was always looking out for myself, thinking, okay, I don't want to end up in the trunk, so I got to get this thing right.
That is so funny. I never thought about it. It
Please,
happens. It has.
self-preservation was number one. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to end up in the trunk of somebody's car.
I had no idea where you were going with that story, girl. You crazy?
You never watch those shows, please. It's always
No,
the
I never
mom.
watched those shows, and
Yeah.
I never once thought that harm could come to me. So I guess I was a bit naive in that, I guess, right? Well, then I think about those. What were they? The brothers, the something brothers. That was a
Yeah,
really
that was a big story. Their
story.
names start with was it Briley Brothers here in
I
Richmond?
don't.
Yeah, I
No,
think.
no, no. These guys were from California. This was a big national story where these two brothers, they were
Oh,
very
I know who you're
wealthy.
talking about. The Menendez brothers.
Yeah, they killed their
Yeah,
parents.
yeah. Well,
But
now we're
yeah,
going. Okay, let me just get a disclaimer.
stay focused.
Never felt I was in danger for my son. He's a wonderful son.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying. I'm just saying. You feel the weight of parenting. While you can look at someone who's obviously parented well, they have a great relationship with their child or children, and their children seem to navigate different challenges well, and so they come out where you hope they land. But what that person may have done in their parenting style, again, may not work for you. It is not easily transferred, and so you
Yeah.
sort of pick and choose. Okay, and you do the best you can to get to know your child. Sometimes with our busy schedules and all the other demands, sometimes just getting that time in to make sure you know what you're dealing with, their personality, that's a challenge as well.
Yeah, I wonder though, like decisions we make, in the vein of making sure that they're prepared.
Yeah.
You know, do we influence? I find myself thinking if I influenced personality or behavior based on some decisions that I made in the vein of preparing them for being productive citizens, like making sure that they played an instrument, making sure that they played a sport,
Well,
all the
I
extracurricular and
think,
exposure to
yeah.
things and making sure that they studied the not just the easy math and exposing them to chemistry and physics and things of that nature.
I think we absolutely do have an impact on, you know, their development or how they think and how they
Mm-hmm.
react to things, just as our parents had on us, you know?
Well, thank you. You just confirmed it. I ruined my child.
You have wonderful children. Stop tripping. Well, you know what? But let me tell you, Teresa, we're laughing. But when I tell you, Nasheed, I tell him all the time, no wonder you don't have high blood pressure problems. You sleep well. Nasheed takes no responsibility as a parent. None. I'm telling you the truth. The man takes no responsibility. When I say anything like, I probably shouldn't have done that, and this is why I even did that, he was like, no, he didn't. That's just him. Well, that was his choice. Nope. Well, you know what? He'll figure it out. Nope. I said, you don't think anything about that. He says, no, and you think too much about it. He's old school. My mom didn't do anything for me like that. And, whatever I came up with, that was my fault. And that was that. No responsibility for it. It's like, okay, whatever.
That is hilarious because is that just how, is that a man thing,
I
and
don't
we
think
happen to
so.
be, because it's similar.
I think
That's
that's
a
a Nasheed thing. I don't think that's a man.
no, there's some similar conversations have happened in my house as well.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So
And
as
yeah,
moms, then we put so much pressure on ourselves.
on ourselves and our children. We're the reason that they need therapy. I'm serious. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to, no, that was a joke.
Okay.
So, but
So
no,
so Robert didn't think that way either. I mean, what? I thought that was just Nasheed.
let me tell you something from, I made sure that there was breakfast, home, fresh cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of school. Every day. I prepared honestly with my job and all of that. I cooked, and consequently so much so that once high school hit, it was like, I'm tired of cooking. And I went to the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's like, get what you can get. And I got grumbles. It's like, I can't believe you're not cooking. And to this day, I still get those. And Robert's thing was, this is what he said, they can, peanut butter and jelly sandwich will do just fine. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? And they don't need this. And I didn't have this. I went days without having lunch at school, and nothing happened to me, like they were too pampered, you're pampering them too much,
Well,
they need to fend for themselves.
Well, let me just say, my child was fending for himself, so that can't be the solution because I didn't do any of that you just described. So
I did, girl.
Now my guilt comes from, all the things we talk about now, looking at the packages with all the ingredients, 100 ingredients on the box. That's what I was feeding even. So,
Oh,
it was a lot of processed
oh.
stuff. And so I often think, did that do something? Because the diet was really not good. I'm never really have been into cooking, and even less so now, but I wasn't into it then either. And yeah, that wasn't happening in my house. So just so we're clear, that can't be the reason that anything's going on with your kids, because I didn't do it in my house. So that's not it.
So it brings an expectation,
Yeah.
and and it's like I did that, like.
Well, now what I did do that I know was an absolute mistake, when they talk about the helicopter moms, I definitely was
Oh
one of
gosh,
those. And
I was
that
still,
I,
still
I
am.
know
Yeah.
that's not healthy
Hmm.
for children. But yeah. And a lot of that was just being the parent of a Black male, and knowing how the society can eat them, chew them up, and spit them out. I was just on guard all the time. And
Hmm.
but you do. I firmly believe that in parenting, if you come from a place of love with your child,
Hmm. Yeah.
and we love them, we
Oh
love them.
gosh, yeah.
That's the parenting. Being a parent is to me the purest form of love, because
Hmm.
I always, and I'm sure you the same way, and most parents, we think of our kids before ourselves. We think
Before ourselves.
automatically we will give up things and make sacrifices and make adjustments, and without drawing any attention to it, because that's a given that their welfare comes before ours. And
Yeah, let me tell you,
my mom was the same way. I mean,
my mom.
that's who we are.
That's what I was just about to tell you about my mom. The first thing she does when she sees me is she wants to. Last night is a prime example. She wants to carry my bag. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, really, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
You better get away from me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
No, my mom. And I'm like, when does that? It never stops.
It
It
never
never
ends.
stops.
It
Yeah,
never ends.
are you hungry? Do we need to get you something to eat?
Yeah.
This kind of
Yeah.
thing. I'm like, Mom,
Yeah.
I'm good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. It doesn't
It never
end.
ends.
I just think, even with all of the missteps and all of the, maybe not knowing the best way to handle every situation, if you parent if you parent, lead with love
Oh
for
yeah.
your child,
Hmm.
then I really believe in the end it works out. Even when you're in those difficult years,
Hmm.
like, I shared with you, Teresa, I just went away with even in his family, our family went with his family. I told him, I said, there was a period where you didn't even speak to us for months. And to now we've gone through that. But those younger years can be the teenage years, and then those can be difficult, trying times, and you think you're not going to come out of it. But when you do, you just realize that's a phase. But even in that, you still parent in love, as challenging as it is when the doors are closed, and you're getting one word responses to your questions, to your attempts at engagement, because their whole goal is to let you know, I don't need you, I don't want you in my life, I don't want to talk to you. So that's their whole motive. But you still, not by any means being a doormat, but to still, during those times, to parent in love. I think when we lead in love, then in the end it all works out. At least
I
that's what I'm saying.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah, yeah. You know, parenting is not by any means an easy job, and it's so unfortunate that anybody can be a parent, because lots of people should not be. It's a lot of responsibility that some people just are not ready for. I saw something the other day which just struck me. There was a clip where Bishop T.D. Jakes was talking, and he was talking about being in a relationship. And it sounded to me, what I got from it was particularly the parent-child relationship. And he said, let me try to capture what he said. He said, you may be a person with a gallon capacity. You have a big personality, and you think big, and you have big ideas. And so with that, when you're in a relationship, you expect that what you're going to receive from someone, maybe your parent, your mother, your father, you're going to get this gallon level of care because you operate at the gallon level, at a big level. He said, but your parent, for whatever reason, your mom and dad, maybe because of where they come from, or things that have been done to them, or they've experienced, or their limitations, their sadness, they're only capable of pint-sized love. They are only capable of that size. And so you're at a gallon level, and what you expect is a gallon level you need, but your parent is limited, and they're doing the very best they can, and they're at 100%, but it's at a pint-sized level. And so just as parents have to extend some grace to their children, as children get older and develop, you have to extend some grace to your parents. That to recognize that maybe where you are is certainly as a result many times of what they've sacrificed, but don't judge them through this harsh lens of a gallon when, because of their circumstances, they were doing the very best they could with what they had. And that just sort of struck me, because we see so many people trying to do the best they can as a parent, but we all come from different places, different experiences. We do better as a family when we're a bit more flexible, when we don't speak in harsh tones, when we listen to each other and lead with love. And that just struck me. So
that's a wrap, Lou. That was a story right there. I mean, I like that.
So that's what we're talking about today, folks. Just parent-child relationships. And listen, if you think you screw up, just remember to return back to this episode. Listen to me and Teresa. You should be in on some of our private conversations, but we're still out on the battlefield of parenting, and we're continuing to do it. So we wish you well as you continue to do your job. Take good care and have a great day.